나 때문이야.
Think you saw it all? Squid Game Season 3 is packed with blink and you'll miss it details. From callbacks to hidden clues, here are the Easter eggs you probably missed. Some of them might just change the way you interpret the entire season.
If you've ever wished that you could actually understand what you're saying in scenes like this, I got something special at the end of this video.
Let's start with something that's been hiding in plain sight since the beginning: the writings on the wall. Back in Season 1, Squid Game dropped subtle clues about each upcoming challenge through faded drawings on the walls of the player's dormitory. If you looked closely, you could see the outlines of red light, green light, tug of war, and more. It was clever, understated, and easy to miss. But by Seasons 2 and 3, that visual storytelling takes a much darker turn. This time, the writing on the wall isn't about what games they'll play. It's about who's going to die. In several scenes throughout Season 3, you might have caught a glimpse of large, scattered letters: HODIEME. At first glance, it looks like cryptic nonsense. Maybe Latin, maybe just random set design. But it's not just for show. In the final game, when the remaining beds are cleared out and the last 9 players are seated for their final meal in formal wear, the full message is finally revealed. Hodi mihi kras tibi, a Latin phrase that translates to, "Today it's me, tomorrow it will be you." Historically, this phrase appeared on medieval tombstones, a stark reminder of mortality, of how death spares no one and could come for you at any moment. Not just for the poor, or the weak, or the unlucky, but for everyone eventually. Inside Squid Game, it's more than just poetic. It's a quiet, devastating reveal. The dormitory, the place where players ate, slept, bonded, betrayed each other, wasn't just a living space, it was a tomb. From the moment they arrived, they were already dead men walking. And no, this isn't just fan theory. In an interview, production designer Chai Kyung-soon confirmed it. The Latin phrase was chosen deliberately to reflect the show's core philosophy, that death is always looming, that every player, no matter how clever or careful, is just waiting their turn. So the next time you rewatch Season 3, pay close attention to the walls, because in Squid Game, even the set design has blood on its hands. Next up, let's talk about No-eul, the North Korean defector who played a key role behind the scenes in Season 3. Turns out she was one of the main people sabotaging the game from the inside. So why does No-eul's story feel so familiar, even though she's brand new to the series? Well, because we've seen someone like her before. Back in Season 1, we were introduced to Kang Se-byok, another North Korean defector with a quiet, determined presence and a heartbreaking reason for joining the game. Se-byok was fighting to reunite her family. She was desperate, but hopeful. She believed that maybe, just maybe, if she made it to the end, she could fix everything. Now in Season 3, we meet No-eul. And while her story is different, it feels like a spiritual echo. She's also a defector. She's also quiet, observant, and emotionally guarded. But more than that, even their names are symbolically linked. Se-byok means dawn or daybreak in Korean, the beginning of something. No-eul means sunset, the end of the day, the close of a chapter. They're like narrative bookends. Se-byok represented the start of the story, a belief that survival could lead to something better. No-eul represents the other side of that belief, the realization that survival isn't enough if the system stays intact. Se-byok tried to beat the game from the inside. No-eul quietly chose to sabotage it from within. She burned the records, wiped out probably years of data, names, and evidence. And she didn't do it for revenge. She wasn't trying to be a hero. She did it to protect someone, not a winner, not a leader, just another player, someone she cared about. She walked away from the game with them, giving both a chance at something the system never offered: survival, maybe even peace. Has anyone else ever done that? We don't know. The show doesn't say. And that moment, it makes the moment even more powerful. Because if even one person can slip through the cracks, destroy the proof, save a life, vanish without a trace, then maybe the game isn't unbreakable after all. And in a system like Squid Game, a single crack is how everything starts to fall apart. Next, did you know that one of the promotional photos may have quietly predicted the finalists of the game? In Season 1, the main poster shows Gi-hun, Se-byuk, and Sang-woo positioned in a triangle. At first glance, it just looks like an artistic layout, but looking back, it feels intentional. Throughout the season, these three are often seen together, standing or moving in triangular formation in key scenes. And in the end, they're the last ones standing before the final game.
If you want to start learning Korean using your favorite K-dramas, we have a first group of class for free. Link is in the description.
Now, in Season 3, fans spotted something eerily similar. A new promo photo features another triangle, this time made up of Gi-hun, Myung-gi, player 333, and Jun-hee, player 222. It sparked a theory that these three would be the finalists this time around, but there was a lot of skepticism, especially about Jun-hee. After all, she was visibly pregnant at the start of the games. And during the very first round, a brutal version of hide-and-seek, she goes into labor and gives birth while hiding. To make things worse, she sprains her ankle and barely escapes elimination. Given the intensity of the games, most viewers assumed she wouldn't last long. But Squid Game being Squid Game, it pulled off a brutal and tragic twist. Despite the odds, Jun-hee does make it to the final phase. But not by surviving in the traditional sense. She makes it through with her baby. Here's how it unfolds. During the deadly jump rope game, a high-stakes round where players must time their jumps over swinging blades, Jun-hee realizes she won't survive. Her injuries are too severe, and she can barely move. So, in a desperate final act, she hands her newborn to Gi-hun, begging him to protect the child no matter what happens to her. Seconds later, she dies, eliminating her from the game. From that point on, Gi-hun becomes the baby's guardian. He carries her through the chaos, hiding her from other players, risking everything to keep her alive. But what he doesn't realize is that the VIPs have been watching. And they're intrigued. In one of the most disturbing twists of the season, the VIPs decide to turn Jun-hee's baby into a contestant. They assign her her mother's number, 222, and announce that she is now officially part of the game. And that's the thing with Squid Game. Even when you think you've figured it out, it always finds a way to make the truth more twisted than the theory. Next, did you know Gi-hun's final words in Season 3 were actually a callback to Episode 1? Let's talk about that last moment, right before he dies. With the frontman watching from above and the VIPs looking on, Gi-hun says softly,
우린 말이 아니야. 사람이야. 사람은
Then he falls backward. Game over. It's a haunting scene, and for a lot of viewers, a confusing one. Why horses? Well, it all ties back to where it began. In Episode 1, we first meet Gi-hun at the horse race track. Broke, desperate, betting everything on luck. Back then, he was part of the crowd that watched living creatures run in circles for entertainment. Fast forward to Season 3, and he's become one of those creatures. Just another body in the arena, numbered, herded, bet on, and discarded for spectacle. The show keeps circling back to this imagery. The players aren't seen as people, they're performers, animals in a race. And in his final words, Gi-hun calls it out. It's not just a death scene, it's a reckoning. A last stand from someone who finally saw the system for what it really was. Last on our list is this finale season isn't just an ending, it's clearly setting the stage for spin-offs, sequels, and maybe even international versions of Squid Game. Let's start with Episode 5. After defeating one of the highest-ranking guards, No-eul sneaks back into the archives room. There, she finds shelves of binders labeled Squid Archives 2024. An ominous record of everything the game has done this year alone, but something even more intriguing sits on the far left. A file labeled Blacklisted Players in Korean. Now, hold on a minute. Blacklist Players file? That's huge. It hints at a deeper, more selective layer of the game, a hidden system for tracking certain contestants outside the normal roster. Are they repeat players, threats to the system, survivors of other, possibly international games? We don't know yet, but the show is clearly teasing a much bigger world. And then comes the ending twist. Cate Blanchett shows up as the new recruiter, slamming Dokji tiles with a desperate man in an alley. It's a direct echo of Gong Yu's role in Season 1. And let's be real, Cate isn't making a random cameo. Her appearance practically screams international spin-off. If Gong Yu was the face of the Korean game, Cate could very well be the recruiter for a US or global version. And just like that, the Squid Game universe expands. So yeah, this might be the end of the main storyline, but it's definitely not the end of the game. So you catch any Easter eggs we missed? Any subtle hints, background text, or visual details that flew under the radar? Drop them in the comments. We're dying to know what you spotted. And if the game is going global, who's your dream recruiter for the next spin-off?
안녕하세요. Hi, my name is Jalen. On Sunday, July 13th, Eastern Standard Time, we invite you to join a Korean language class using your favorite K-dramas. Every week, we meet on Zoom to break down real drama scenes and learn useful Korean phrases you hear in your favorite shows. It's beginner-friendly, fun, and totally different from boring textbooks. You'll practice speaking, understand what the actors are really saying, and learn naturally with other fans. The first class is completely free. Just click in the link to save your spot right now and join our private Facebook group where we will post updates and useful materials. I'll see you in class. 감사합니다.